It's been a while since I focused on my 2024 goals list. In today's episode, I at least get back on track, at least with one item. Stay tuned as I do the reveal of what I've been picking up lately. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we've got a good old-fashioned mail call video for you today. I've been picking up some things from eBay, from Whatnot, and even from Amazon. And in one of those cases, it's one item that I've been wanting to get onto my 2024 goals list. Happy to have that item, and that will be the last thing that I reveal today. But before I begin, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the content that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, stay tuned, and I'll be right back with all the great items that I've been picking up lately.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, guys, like I said, I've been picking up things from eBay, Whatnot, and even Amazon. And we're going to start with Amazon because they're not necessarily comics, but they are comic book related. I do love my Funkos, and you can definitely find your Funkos on Amazon, and sometimes you can find them for really good prices. In fact, the prices change all the time, so I always bookmark some of the ones I'm interested in, and that's what I did with these. I had picked up the Civil War Falcon and Ant-Man, if you can see it there. Sorry for the glare. And these are Amazon exclusives. I ended up getting these for under $10 a piece, and that's what I usually do is I look for some of these ones. I just keep track of them, I bookmark them, and if they go on sale, or the price reduces, I should say. I shouldn't say sale, but if the price reduces to a point where I think I want to pick them up, I'll go ahead and jump on them at that point. Otherwise, I'm not going to overspend on any Funkos. I've only done that a couple times, but in these cases, these are pretty inexpensive. They're not probably the most popular Funkos right there, but they were characters that I liked in the Civil War movie, in the Avengers movies, so I went ahead and picked those up. And speaking of Civil War, I also picked up Crossbones. Now, this was a character, I love the Captain America Civil War movie, but I liked the middle movie better, the Winter Soldier movie, where they introduced Rumlow before he became Crossbones right there. And that was actually my favorite movie, but I love that character. I think they could have done much more with him than what they did they followed up in Civil War, and they pretty much killed him off. And that was a shame because that is a great character. They could have had him as an ongoing antagonist throughout the rest of the movies. But it is what it is. But I really like the Funko right there. So pick that one up. But I also picked up two more Funkos as well. And two of my favorite females from the Marvel Universe. And it will pose a big question, and we'll get to it right now. I picked up the Mary Jane Watson and the Gwen Stacy Funkos right there. And you guys, I love these right here because they're very 60s designed. Even Mary Jane right there says, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." Everybody knows where that came from. But it poses the question, guys, much like the question with Archie, Veronica or Betty. For me, it's always, is it Mary Jane or is it Gwen Stacy? And for me, I'll answer the question. For me, it was always Gwen Stacy. She was always my favorite. And I think it had something to do with the very first Spider-Man comic book that I ever had as a kid. Outside of some of the ones that my uncle had left, one of my uncles had left at my grandparents' house that I sort of inherited, which were some nice Silver Age books, don't get me wrong. But my very first Spider-Man book that I ever owned was 122, and that was right after the death of Gwen Stacy. And that was my introduction to that character. And it was, of course, that's the death of the Green Goblin in that issue. Fantastic issue. I love that issue. It's one of my favorite all-time Spider-Man comic books to this day. And I don't know, there was something about that character that I really liked at that point. I mean, she was dead, but I got to see Mary Jane's personality there at the end of the issue. And that was my first real development of our understanding of those characters. And for me, I don't know. It's always Gwen Stacy for me, but Mary Jane's not too bad either. But that was it for Amazon. So let's get to some comics that I've been picking up lately. And let's go to Whatnot first. And actually, this is the last Whatnot order I picked up anything. And it's one of those cases where I've been trying to stay off of Whatnot. In fact, some of these items right here today have been sitting here on the couch waiting for me to film an episode for a little while now. So it's been a while since I've even been on Whatnot. The very last one that I went on was very symbolic of why I wanted to stay off of Whatnot. It's very easy to get caught up in the bidding of an item, and the item, in a lot of cases, I've complained about this before, is not as good as you think when you're watching it there on the live feed. And sometimes the dealers will do a good job of showing you the book. Sometimes they just oversell it without showing you. And this was a perfect case of I got caught up in that moment and I thought it was going to be a little bit better than it was, but I didn't pay a lot for it. So that I can't complain about that, but it's one of those, I didn't need to buy this. I've got another really good raw of this, and I've got a 9.6 graded that went into my PC. I didn't need to get this. And that's when I cut off Whatnot. I haven't been on there for quite a while now, actually. And it's one of those, like I said, it's why I don't want to get on Whatnot. I get caught up in the bidding. In fact, the other order is sort of the same way, but that one's going to pay off a little bit more. But I picked up from Nerdy Girl Comics first issue of Miss Marvel, or Ms. Marvel. I'm sorry. Somebody complained that I it's just the way I used to say it. It was Miss Marvel, not Ms. Marvel. I don't know. I mean, I say it the way I remember it as a kid. Anyway, pick this up. It's actually in pretty decent shape, but for only $35, I thought it was a real steal. But it actually is a little bit more damaged than I thought. There's a huge dog ear down here at the bottom. Not huge, but it's a big, pretty color-breaking dog ear down here at the bottom. That wasn't really talked about too much on the show, but what can I expect for $35? I blame myself more than I blame the sellers on this case. I have the power to turn off Whatnot, and that's what I've done ever since I bought this. And while I've been back on Whatnot just to peruse it occasionally, I've actually stayed away from a lot of the shows, and I haven't bought anything for, well, honestly, well over a month at this point. So, but this is actually a pretty decent copy. I think minus that dog ear down here at the bottom, I think what I'll do is I'll put this in the press and see if I can bump it up a little bit and see what kind of condition, if I can actually improve this a little bit. This one wasn't a big investment to begin with, but it may actually do pretty good once I clean it up. But again, that's why I stay off of Whatnot. But while I was on this show, I think I said that was the last one, but technically this was the last one because while I was on her show, her audience finished and she transferred her audience over to another seller. And I believe this is the way this worked. It's like I said, it's been a little while. And it went over to Sleeping Giant ZZZ. And immediately they had this book was what was being sold just as we went into his live feed. This is not anything special of a comic book other than it's the cover. Issue 46 of Amazing Spider-Man. But it's a Michael Cho cover. And I'm going, oh, I got to get that because I have plans to possibly go down to Heroes Con. And Michael Cho's going to be down there. And I love a lot of his work, especially the ones that add an element of dimension to his covers. A lot of these, I saw some of the earlier stuff that was kind of flat, but then over the last couple of years, it seems like a lot of his covers have got a lot of this 3D quality to them. And I really like the design. I mean, this is more than just illustration. This is the design that went into this to create this effect. And I'm going, oh, I got to get that. And so I picked that up. And then while I was on the channel, I did pick up the X-Men 97 #1. This is the retailer incentive variant. Who's the artist? Ethan Young variant right there. And this is kind of goes back to that other part of what I was talking about with Nerdy Girl. I don't need to be buying this. This is actually the book. This is a 9.8, just sold to this $125. That's not bad. But I honestly, I shouldn't be buying this. This is the kind of thing that I personally need to stay away from trying to buy some of these variants like this. I kind of got caught up in the moment, and oh, that's so cool. And this had come out just as right in the middle of the X-Men 97 season, and it was hot, and I had to get some of the different variants, and trust me, I love the Ben Harvey variants on issue number 1. So I picked this up, and then I instantly regretted it. So this is a case where I may just stick this back on eBay. I may not even send this into CGC, but that's what I got from Whatnot, and this, again, teaches me a lesson. Stay off of Whatnot. I can get plenty of comics whenever I want to. I don't need to go on the channel and take these risks of getting lower grade books that I may not want. Now, this is not lower grade. This is actually a very nice near mint copy. Nothing wrong with that, but it just did not fit into what I should be getting at this point. All right, guys. So that was Whatnot, and that was Amazon. But I did get onto eBay, and I did this intentionally because, again, I've got plans to go down to Charlotte for Heroes Con. I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but Joe Jusko is going to be down there, and it's the first time that I've ever might have a chance to meet him. And so I've been picking up some different covers that I've got in my PC and some other ones I wanted that I might want to get signed. They had been reprinting his Marvel Masterpieces trading card artwork on a lot of different Marvel comics. And I've got the Wolverine versus Sabretooth one. I've got the Black Panther one. But this is one I wanted to get. And I picked up 3 copies of this issue so I can make sure it was a really good copy, just in case I wanted to get it graded. But I picked up Hellions number 16 with the cover with Psylocke there. Now, I've got 2 more copies of that, but I've actually got it in the press right now. Just to make sure everything's good with them. This one actually had a little bit of a spine tick, and that's why I bought 3 of them. They weren't expensive at all. But I bought 3 of these in this case so I could manage to have at least one that I thought was going to be really good, just in case I wanted to get CGC to grade it with his signature. Now, he's also doing a CGC signing at CGC as well. I may take them up on that too if I can't make it to Charlotte. We'll see. I'm not really interested in getting this CGC, to be honest with you. I would love to just get this signed. I think I've seen some examples where he signs right up in this area right here. Whoops, right there in gold, and it looks really good. So hopefully this will get signed in the near future. But that brings us to the very last item, and it is an eBay item. And in fact, it's the last eBay item that I've bought in a little while too. As I said, these items, these mail call items, have all been sitting over here on the couch waiting for me to be able to film an episode where I've got a few things that I can put into a mail call video. I mean, I'm not like some of these other YouTube channels where it seems like you've got an unlimited budget and every week you get a mail call of a stack of books this big and half of them are CGCs. I don't have that kind of budget. So I've been saving up a little bit to get all these things together so we could have one little video to get together today. But as I said at the very beginning, I'd kind of gotten off of my 2024 goals list. And one of those things on that list, and in fact, it's probably my number 1 item. In fact, if I go back to my original list, it is the number 1 thing on there. And I have been collecting a 9/6 or better run of the John Byrne X-Men from issue 108 up to 143. And I've been working on that for the last couple of years. And I keep adding to it. And I've got a ton of rolls in the shop that some of them I don't think are going to meet that 9.6, and I keep looking for good rolls. But occasionally with the market the way it is, you can find good deals on already graded comics. And that's what I did in this case. And I'll show you what I picked up. It is probably my favorite cover of the entire John Byrne X-Men run because it has the cover debut of, to me, the main character of the greatest Claremont Byrne X-Men run. I mean, in fact, it's probably the best X-Men story of all time, which was the Dark Phoenix Saga. And you've got the first cover appearance and the first full appearance of, we'll clarify that, with X-Men 135. This issue right here is the first full appearance of Dark Phoenix. You had her first cameo appearance, and I think CGC will disqualify that, and they'll say that the cameo in 134 on the last panel is her first appearance. I'm going to go by the Hulk 180, 181 rule. If you apply that to Wolverine, then this right here should be the first real appearance of the Dark Phoenix. You've got her on the cover, and you've got the full story about her. The last issue, it was only the last panel, and she's not on the cover. Well, not as Dark Phoenix, at least. So this has always been one of my favorite covers. It is a homage to the, I can't remember the X-Men, the Neil Adams X-Men with the Living Pharaoh. It's very similar to that. And just one of my all-time favorite issues. As you can see, it's a 9.6 direct version. I'm okay with direct. I don't care if it's direct or newsstand. I think I'd care a little bit more if it got it up into the 9.8, and then it would make a real difference. But that would be mostly in the case of selling the book, not so much just holding on to it at that point. But for me, this is perfectly good for my PC. So this is what I added to my 2024 goals list. And the most important thing on my list is that John Byrne X-Men run, and I'm happy to have this in the PC now. So that is it for today. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about everything I picked up. Guys, I've had a great time. My voice is still giving out. I'm still having allergy problems, so I'm sorry for the gravelly voice, but I'm going to hang in there. We'll keep doing episodes every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. But until then, you have a great day, and remember, every comic has a story.